So at this point, I'd like to introduce to you Kirk Roberts, who's the president of ECM and OpenText Executive Vice President, and he'll be bringing up a host of his friends to talk about things that we're doing and lay out the roadmap for the future of this company. So please help me and welcome me in joining Kirk Roberts.
All right. Hey, good morning, everybody. So we have a lot of stuff to cover. And so consider this as well the infomercial of LinkUp. So my objective here is really to cover as much as I can about where we're going and to point in directions of other sessions and other breakouts and other people and activities you might want to undertake over the rest of this week. And my hope is, in some of the presentation I can make today, is it might point you somewhere that you weren't thinking about before. And a lot of the work we've done at OpenText over the last year is about really stretching and broadening the connections between the capabilities we have in order to push more power and capability out to you and to make things happen. So where I wanted to start off that is completely new, business views, customized business views of content from across the enterprise can be assembled without coding by a business user. Advanced applications can be rapidly assembled on the fly. And we found this, we had one of our partners was visiting OpenText about 5 weeks ago. And he got a look at Enterprise Connect and really started to see the power of it. And so we gave him the code. We gave him the pre-production code. And in the past 5 weeks, he's built out an application for well file management in the oil and gas sector. Now, his name is Steve Miller. He's formerly been a director at Kerr McGee and a vice president at Chesapeake Energy, and is currently the chief architect at Strategy Innovators. I'd like to introduce Steve now, and he's going to talk to you about his experience with Enterprise Connect. Thanks, Steve. Thank you.
Thank you, Kirk. Well, this has been quite a journey. Let me tell you a little bit about how this started. About 4 years ago, actually at this hotel at LinkUp, Tom Jenkins and I sat down to breakfast, and we started talking about the vision for really what we needed to deliver usable applications at the desktop level, something that could be really business-centric. So before I go into this new innovation, let's talk a little bit about usability engineering. Many of you know me, know it's a big passion of mine. And if you take a quick look at this slide, you'll notice that you instantly read the lowercase, and it takes you a little bit longer to read the uppercase. The reason why is real simple. Our brains, over years of training, actually read the shapes of lowercase versus uppercase, which we actually physically have to read. So usability engineering isn't just about the colors and the UI, but it's really where technology and psychology really meet. And it's not about the way it looks. It's really about performance versus preference. So what is a usable application? Well, my favorite saying is it's easy to learn and hard to forget. Minimizes burden, and the big thing is it does what the user wants to do when the user wants to do it. And the big thing is, if you've ever used an iPod, it's fun to use. So let me tell you just a little story about the iPod. When my son was 14, about eight years ago, he wanted an MP3 player. So I went out, did the research, bought him one of these Creative Lab Nomads that you'll see up here in the upper left. It was a great little device, actually smaller than an iPod. Could play all the songs on it. It was great. That device came out 3 years before the iPod. So why wasn't it successful? Why didn't they take over the market like Apple did? Real simple, usability engineering. It wasn't easy to use. It was really hard to use. Had a little bitty tiny screen on it, had two buttons to navigate. It was a mess. So that's what we're talking about, is being able to deliver applications like this, and that's what Enterprise Connect is going to allow you to do. So let's talk a little bit about the energy industry. Those of you who work in the industry know that our users have an explosion of content they're trying to deal with. That content's coming at them from all kinds of sources, and they're also having to deal with all kinds of sources to actually put that content in. And in fact, this information that they deal with is really extremely well-centric. And as you can see here on the left, we've got a ton of content coming in from all kinds of sources. And in fact, at some point it's paper, gets faxed, becomes electronic, gets marked up, gets faxed back out to the field, becomes paper again, and that is just constantly happening. And the other issue is, not only are they dealing with the content sources, they're dealing with all the data sources that they need to associate that well information with. So really the problem and the challenge for our industry in particular is the user's expertise, the number of sources they have to deal with, and really the challenge of usability for the number of wells and content that they really have to deal with. So let me set this up for you. Let's say we have a field safety expert. He's basically received an email, or has a set of attachments, and he needs to get that information into the repository as quickly as possible. Now remember, this guy's probably not very technical, probably never uses any applications except Office and Outlook. Doesn't know anything about LiveLink, doesn't know anything about the repositories, barely knows anything about the ERP system in this case, and in this example, SAP. So let's walk through this. So what you see here is Outlook, of course. Here on the left, what we've done, if you'll notice our application here, we've added about 3 nodes to the tree. Add wells or assets, get wells or assets, and find wells or assets. Okay? So here in this scenario, he's basically going to select his attachment, drag it over to the add well. That's going to activate Enterprise Connect and our application that we developed. It's going to go out to SAP. He's going to be able to key in his basic information for his well header, talk to the well master, get back his list of wells, say that's the well I want to associate this to, and then just choose a couple of data elements to associate it to. In this case, it's environmental health and safety, and it's a permit. And boom, it's in LiveLink. It's that easy. Doesn't have to know anything about the repository, doesn't have to know anything about that. It's completely integrated the way he wants to work. Okay, so now let's look at the inverse scenario of that. So again, same guy, field safety specialist, but he's now wants to get information out of the repository, wants well information, well content. He doesn't care where it's coming from. Some of it could be in LiveLink, some of it could be in eDoc, some of it could be in SharePoint, some of it could be even in Artesia. And again, he needs to do that through his well master. So again, types out his email. Let me go back to that. Thank you. So he's composed his email. He's gone back out to SAP. He said, I want all the documents back. We get a list back of all the content. Here you can see actually getting some content back from LiveLink. He's getting some content back from SharePoint. He's also getting some content back from Artesia. Now what he can do is he can view that content, take and browse that information. We've even given a link to the GIS system so he can spot that well. And then he can choose his documents, and boom, they're attached to the document, and they're sent. So basically, Enterprise Connect enables easy to learn and hard to forget. It enables business views with no programming. So outside of what we did with this SDK, you can actually go in and configure business views with no programming. The other thing, is probably my most favorite thing of all about this, is we did this completely in .NET, completely with web services, and no OScript. Enterprise Connect is a game changer. I encourage you to go out and create your own killer app with Enterprise Connect. Thank you.
All right, thanks a lot, Steve. So after Steve's visit to our office 5 weeks ago, after his learning about this product, you can now see at the demo pods that application live and operational. So I encourage you to go take